Welcome to the island's boldest ATV experience. The only tour daring enough to bring you this level of excitement, freedom, and adrenaline. Feel the power. Conquer rugged trails. Experience breathtaking views. Ride beyond the ordinary. Feel the power. This is not just a tour. This is the power of Ride ATV. Get ready for fun. Get ready for excitement. Get ready to ride. Book now at ride.gd or call 473-422-1011. Ride ATV. Adventure starts here.
Yeah. Yes. 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 Welcome, Ridealong Live. Yeah, Lydia, how you doing? No, guys, I'm not late, right? I know we start at 6 p.m., but I had to make special accommodation today because tonight we're going to be chatting with former Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Honorable Ralph Gonsalves. It's really my first time speaking with the former Prime Minister, and we gonna have a nice discussion, right? Really nice discussion. So I want everybody to just tag everybody in St. Vincent, tag everybody in Grenada, all over the world. Because you're also gonna have an opportunity to participate in the discussion, in the conversation here today. Okay? All right? And as we always say on Ridealong Live, we keep it respectful, okay? We keep it very respectful. Very respectful, please. You may have a difference of opinion, a different political alignment, or whatever the case might be. But primary is to respect my guests. Always. Okay? Nice. Now that we have that understanding, right? Beautiful. Like that. All right, guys, so we started a little bit late, as I said earlier. Not late, but we purposely started at this particular time to accommodate for my next guest, because of course, you know, the man is busy. All right, the man is opposition leader. He have a lot to do meeting with his constituents, and it was yesterday that I called him, and that speaks to his dedication, right? That speaks to the man's dedication, and he promised me. He said, "George, I will be here," and I'm happy that he's here to chat with us. So, as I said, guys, tag everybody at Highlight, at Top Fans. Let me do that same thing over on my side. So we have everybody locked in. I want everybody locked in. I want everybody locked in. All my Vincent people. Yes. Yes, absolutely. Let me tag. McDonald, how you doing? Let me tag. All right, I tagged.
Designed, presumably.
Riders, again, as I said earlier, happy am I to introduce, to bring on the program here tonight, a very special edition of Ridealong Live. We welcome the man who has shaped Caribbean politics for decades, a man admired by supporters, challenged by critics, but respected across the region as one of the Caribbean's most outspoken intellectual political figures. From the small village in St. Vincent and the Grenadines to becoming one of the longest serving prime minister in the Caribbean history. Now, his journey has been nothing short of historic. He is known as the Comrade, a fierce debater, a regional strategist, a leader, never afraid to speak his mind on issues affecting Caribbean people, from reparation, regional integration, global diplomacy, to heated debates surrounding citizenship by investment, COVID-19 mandates, and the future of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Tonight, nothing is off limits. You heard me? Nothing is off limits. We're going to talk. Love him or disagree with him, one thing is certain, that when my next guest speak, when Honorable Ralph Gonsalves speak, people listen. And he's here with us tonight. Honorable Ralph Gonsalves, welcome to the ride. Your first time here. How are you doing, sir? Hold on. Yes. Sorry. Yes, sir. How are you? Sorry, your audio was muted for a bit there. How you doing, sir?
Fine. I my throat is not the best, but it would do. I was at I'm sorry. I want to apologize to you, your listeners, your viewers. I was not available at 6 because I was coming from the city where we had the commemoration for Spiritual Baptist. Today's National Spiritual Baptist Liberation Day. It's a holiday which we gave last year by law, May the 21st. And I had to be on the platform. You know, I was one of the guest speakers to bring a message. And I'm 20 miles away from the city.
Oh.
On the road, and then I have to come a little bit in the bush. I live in the bush, alone up here, like a Rasta man, but with internet and Starlink.
Starlink. Well, yeah.
I'm a countryman. I'm a countryman.
Nice.
I'm a national figure. I'm regional, and I'm a person who, go across the world, but I'm a countryman.
Right. Same here. But you know what's important is that you took the time to be here to chat with us, and I really appreciate that. You're a man of your word. You said you would come, and you are here. So I really appreciate that again.
Thanks very much for having me. I appreciate it. Absolutely.
So, Comrade, let's talk about your years in politics. After 2 decades, after more than 2 decades, 2 decades and some in leadership, what motivates you to remain so passionate about just politics, Caribbean politics?
Well, fate, history, and circumstance put you in certain positions. And after 25 years almost as Prime Minister, continuously, when we lost the elections and the manner in which we lost it, it meant that I had to assume this particular role that I have. And as I said 2 days after the election, when I addressed the people, that I shall carry out the role with duty, with love, with dignity, to the best of my ability. So help me God. I can't do otherwise. In a way, we all are prisoners of circumstances. Men and women make history, but only to the extent that the circumstances of history permit them so to make. We can't make history in circumstances chosen by ourselves. We make history, and we involve ourselves in things in the circumstances inherited from the past and what arise in the extant circumstances. And as I said, fate, history, and circumstance have accorded me this particular role, and I can't walk away. My entire life would have indicated to anyone who knows me, who has followed me, that I couldn't walk away. So it's as I said today in another context, the branches may be a little trimmed and in some cases broken off, but the roots remain. And it is the roots which will provide the basis for the rejuvenation and the redemption.
Right, got that. Now, you spoke about your election loss in 2025. Now, after 24 years in office, do you believe that the people voted against your leadership specifically, or were they simply ready for a change? What's your thoughts? How do you summarize that loss?
It's a complicated matter. Nothing of this nature is very simple or straightforward. We're still analyzing the reasons and the impact. You know, I just want to say by comparison, once in 1989, a French intellectual politician was asked what is the impact of the French Revolution. They were celebrating the 200th anniversary, and he says it's a little too soon to say. So and after a few months, it's a little too soon to do the complete analysis. But some of it is in the natural wear and tear of a government. Some of it, some persons had known no other leader but Ralph, and no other party but the Unity Labour Party, and they want to try something new. It's in the nature of human beings. That is part and parcel of the natural instinct and outlook of people. And no doubt, during the period of time, we would have taken decisions which we'd consider in the national interest, and some persons would have disagreed with them and want to punish you for them. That's all part of the normal wear and tear. I think we ran a very good campaign. We had good candidates. We had good manifesto, good policies. But a free people are entitled to their opinion, sometimes even opinion in an election, and sometimes even to make a mistake. Of course, if they recognize that they made a mistake, it is their duty and their obligation to correct it at the first available opportunity.
Who made a mistake? You think the voters made a mistake?
No, I'm not saying. I said if. I said if.
Okay.
I say if free people in a democracy are entitled to express their opinion,
right,
through the vote, and if they made a mistake, it is equally their obligation and their duty to correct that error at the first available opportunity.
You know, many political analysts say that voters' fatigue played that major role in your defeat. Looking back now, do you think that you stayed too long in office? When you're looking back, I know hindsight is always
not really. I mean, we went through a very difficult period of COVID, volcanic eruptions, Hurricane Elsa, the impact of the Russia-Ukraine conflict, and then Hurricane Beryl, which gave us a hell of a blow. And we had to deal with all of those things, in addition to the legacies of underdevelopment and the challenges from the contemporary political economy and the inherent limitations and weaknesses, despite its and strengths, of a small island developing state located in the Caribbean.
Right.
So it's a complicated matter, and you have to view it in this particular light. And of course, when you're in the opposition, you come by, and even though the matter is complex, you offer facile solutions. There's an iconic American journalist, I'm sure you're aware of him, H.L. Mencken, Mencken, and he once wrote with wit and insight, says, for every complex problem, there's a solution which is clear, simple, and wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Clear, simple, and wrong.
You're right.
So, of course, he wasn't completely addressing all the sides of the issue, but I think he was addressing those persons who would like to tell you that for complex matters there's just a clear and simple answer. But very often, clear, simple answers
Mm-hmm.
are wrong to complex issues.
Right. Now, you mentioned all of that, right? But you didn't mention at all, possibly it could have been the strength of the then opposition party. Do you think that they had that strength in their campaign, hence the reason why they were able to win?
The opposition party had no coherent program, and that's why the place is ungoverned at the moment. The country is ungoverned at the moment. There were a lot of vacuous statements, a lot of empty promises. They didn't even have a manifesto. And the I wouldn't say that the personnel which they have, there's anything particularly outstanding about the personnel that they have, as we are seeing now. But the circumstances arose at the time where they, as I said, wear and tear, among other things, and they were financed by a lot of powerful forces, and they had a lot of money. People who want me to sell citizenship and passport, this was their last train to San Fernando, and they put a lot of money behind it. Their persons were interested in getting rid of our relation with Taiwan, and some of those persons also put money. And then it's a whole amalgam. And then their imperialism wanted also to get rid of me, and their agents put a lot of money, and that's it. They hired a top firm from the United Kingdom to run and direct their campaign, and they don't come cheap. And that was it. There was also involvement by activists out of Trinidad attached to the United National Congress of the current government in Trinidad and Tobago. So there was a confluence of circumstances, in addition to the opportunities created through wear and tear in government as a consequence of longevity.
Mm-hmm. So the party essentially was reduced to just one seat nationally. You were the only one that regained the seat. Were you shocked by the scale of the defeat?
Well, first of all, let me just say this. We got 44% of the vote.
Right.
So the extent of the number of seats would look as though you're completely swamped. But we were, and as many parties have been from time to time, victims and beneficiaries at other times of the first past the post electoral system. Is not a proportional representational system. If it were a simple proportional representational system and you get 44% of the votes, you'll get 44% of the seats.
Right. But that's the same system that brought you in office 5 other times.
That's why I said there are times in which you get the benefit of it, and sometimes
Right.
you carry. I'm not complaining. I was just
Right.
describing.
Okay.
But still, I thought that we were going to win the elections.
Mm-hmm.
So that the defeat was surprising. But I just want to say the sort of person I am, the political brain that I have in my head and the way I view things. The results came, I accepted them the night. As a matter of fact, I can't do anything about that. And immediately proceeded to see how we would go from here on. That is to say, as a party. And I was satisfied upon my own analysis that night. And I said so on the Saturday. The elections were on a Thursday. Friday they had their celebration. And then on Saturday morning, when I addressed the nation on the radio, I pointed out also that at the very moment of the triumphalism of the New Democratic Party government is also the occasion for the commencement of their demise, which is what we are seeing. Because
Right. That we're going to get into.
these things have a dialectical interconnection, and
Right.
it's a question of resolving the contradictions in that dialectic. So I have a clear mind on these things. So I don't get sentimental about these sorts of matters. You're disappointed, but you put the disappointment immediately behind you, and you begin to look forward strategically,
Right.
and start to see how you could fashion a bundle of tactics to make sure that you come back to government in the shortest possible time. That is to say, the Unity Labour Party, and to make the NDP government a one-term government.
Right. But you said earlier that you were surprised, you were shocked at the loss. Right? In many other in politics, I know that heading up or leading into the election, oftentimes.
I didn't say shocked.
Okay.
You
Sorry, surprise.
You said shocked. I
Okay.
wasn't shocked.
You said surprise. Okay, surprise. So the question,
we are going to win it,
right?
And then I was surprised that we didn't win it. Some of the seats were quite close, and therefore I was disappointed too.
Right.
Disappointed, but immediately I put that disappointment behind me, and that's why I said to you that I resolved that very night. The fate, history, and circumstance have assigned me this new role, and I shall carry it out with duty, with dignity, and with love, to the best of my ability. So help me God. And that's what I've been doing, really.
Right. So what were there any writings on the wall? Were there any writings on the wall that made you think that this would have been a possible outcome? Because I know it's going into the election, you know what the numbers are, you know how the polls are looking.
Look, we had handled COVID quite well. So too the volcanic eruption, the fallout from it, and Beryl, and the economy grew in that particular period. And all objective observers, were amazed to the resilience of our economy and the manner in which we steered it, and the manner in which we addressed the economic growth and increased wealth and jobs and opportunities. In fact, outside of Guyana in CARICOM, and Guyana is an outlier because of oil, outside of Guyana, the fastest growing economy was St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Right.
And we reduced unemployment significantly to under 10% of the population, 8-9% or thereabouts. And our work was very transformative. Our last year of assessment, 2024, on the basis of 2023 data, the United Nations Development Program had us on the cusp of being not just a high developing, a country with a high level of human development in accordance with the Human Development Index of the UNDP. We were just marginally short of being in the very high category. We were in the high category, and when we came to office in 2001, The only countries which we were ahead of were Guyana and Haiti. And by the time we left office, we were ahead on that index, which is a composite index with many different features of measurement for human development, social and economic development. That we were still ahead of Guyana and Haiti, though Guyana was moving rapidly too. Jamaica, Suriname, Belize, St. Lucia, Grenada, Dominica. There's a ninth one, but that's that. Oh yes, we were nine. Those which were ahead of us were Barbados and Bahamas and Saint Kitts Nevis and Antigua and Barbuda, which are historically high income countries with a long history of comparatively of tourism and higher levels of living.
And what was the growth pillars? What was the main growth pillars for economic development?
Tourism,
Uh-huh.
services, different kinds of services, and fishing. And we made, despite the drought, interspersing with all what we are doing, with all the different disasters, that agriculture made a comeback, and very much so construction because of the big capital projects which we were implementing.
Right, right. Again, guys, we're chatting here with former Prime Minister Ralph Gonsalves here on the Ride Along Live, and of course, we'll give you an opportunity to conversate as well. Dr. Gonsalves, many Vincentians felt that your administration became too confrontational and dismissive towards the critics. Do you think that your political style eventually hurt the ULP? And how much damage did you think COVID-19, the vaccine mandate, and protests to your political support affect your support base?
Well, what happened in Vincent and the Grenadines, we had the most liberal regime in dealing with COVID. We didn't lock down. We didn't lock down at all. I just want to say that we were the only country in the region which didn't lock down. What we did as deaths began to climb, that we didn't have a mandate. We had a requirement that frontline workers in the public sector, people at immigration, people at customs, the police, the teachers, the medical personnel, that they take the vaccine. And that if they didn't take the vaccine within a particular period of time, and after 10 days elapsed thereafter, they would have been deemed to have abandoned their job. Overwhelmingly, the categories took the vaccine, but there were maybe up to 300 persons, 200 and something, 300, who didn't take the vaccine. And of course, some persons took the vaccine and claimed they took the vaccine only because they feared that they would have lost their job. And I have no doubt that some of that affected us. But I had to save lives and livelihoods.
Right.
This was not a difficult thing. Very interestingly, in the early stages, the government, the opposition is accusing my government of not wanting to lock down like other countries are doing because I was prioritizing the economy over people's lives. It wasn't that at all. We had done an analysis which was very nuanced, very careful, and we had a number of initiatives so that we can sort of stem the tide, the spread of the COVID pandemic, and we did fairly well. But of course, you're an island, and this thing was rapidly spreading at a particular time, and we decided that we had to ramp up the measures a little. And the opposition were arguing earlier for what they call draconian Chinese methods. The lockdown with the Chinese, turn around opportunistically when some public servants began to balk and saw an electoral opportunity, a political opportunity, and start to criticize us on that count. Of course, the matter went to court. We lost at first instance, but we won at Court of Appeal. The matter is now proceeding to the Privy Council. But that's the law and the Constitution which we complied with. But there was clearly a political side effect. But even with that, we thought that we could have ridden that problem. So that probably contributed towards our defeat. But I would say I use the expression normal wear and tear.
Okay. With not a lot of time, I want to move into another aspect of our conversation, specifically the Citizenship by Investment, the CBI program, right? So you very strongly oppose the CBI, Citizenship by Investment program, for years, saying that St. Vincent and the Grenadines was not for sale. Why are you so firmly against the model embraced by several other Caribbean islands?
Okay. Well, let me just say, there are more countries in CARICOM which do not have citizenship by investment than do have. In the OECS, we are the only one of the 6 independent countries which do not have the selling of passports or citizenship, which traffic under the name citizenship by investment. Because it's really about selling passports and selling citizenship and then traffic under a particular name. Now, we are opposed both in principle and for practical reasons. Let's deal with the principle first. We consider that citizenship is the highest office in the land. It's higher than Prime Minister, Governor General, or President. Citizenship is a bond which is established between persons in a political society organized as a state. So that's the first thing. It's the highest office in the land. It is that interrelationship which defines who we are. And there are certain acceptable ways in which you can have citizenship. That is to say, you can have it by birth, you can have it by descent, as a matter of right, and then you can have on a discretionary basis through marriage or through the naturalization, 5-7 years period of time. Those are the accepted ways. We recently extended ours to not just those first generation descendants, but second generation. And we consider, as a matter of principle, that ought to remain. And in relation to the passport is really the outward sign of the inward grace of citizenship. And like citizenship, it's not a commodity for sale, to sell it like potatoes or yams or jackfish or robin or tuna or mahi-mahi. It is something which is just, to my anathema to our way of thinking. The other people, I respect other person's views, but that is our position in principle. The matter of practicality is that I don't know if any of these governments, and I know they're struggling with this issue, how can you maintain the security of this particular program, that it doesn't impinge in other areas and cause other countries to want to stop your citizens from traveling to them or restricting your citizens from traveling to them? As we see at the moment, the Americans, the British, the Europeans, the Canadians, they say that the very existence of the program is a security risk.
But even the Americans have some level of their version of CBI.
No.
Call it CBI, but they have some sort of level of CBI where you could invest in the United States and those territories and get your permanent residency.
No. It's 2 entirely different things, my brother. The Citizenship by Investment program doesn't require any particular period of residency. They're now trying to see if they can do residency for up to 2 weeks or a month. In the
Right.
case,
And
in the
kids and
case,
neighbors have a more stringent
in the
clause
case,
in the CBI.
in the case of the Trump Golden Passport, you have to pay $1 million for this this privilege of living in America for 5 years, and after 5 years, you may get citizenship. That's a horse of a different color. You're around for a long period of time in the country. In the case of, so I know there's an attempt to conflate those things, but they're not, both in principle and in actuality. Let me go further also, is that citizenship by investment, monies from citizenship by investment is like, it's a form of addiction. You get in the money, and in a short period of time, it becomes 15, 20, 40, 50, or even 60% of your revenue. That's not sustainable. That is highly risky. So there are these practical reasons. And the first one I mentioned about we being able to travel. Look, in my country, and I think in yours too, the two most important books in a house are the Bible and the passport. And we spend some time below passport. I've been advised that the passport of St. Vincent and Grenadines stands in the world about 19th or so. And the three most regarded passports in the Caribbean are those of Barbados, Bahamas, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And none of those three countries sells its passport or its citizenship or have CBI. I know my dear friends in the other 5 islands and all the other 5 prime ministers, I consider them to be very good men and they're good leaders. I just have a difference of view, a serious difference of view with them on that issue, though we agree on practically everything else.
Right. So the question then is countries like you said, St. Kitts, Nevis, Dominica, Antigua, Barbuda, Grenada, they have generated hundreds of millions of dollars through the CBI program. Did St. Vincent miss the economic opportunity under your leadership?
No, if you do the check-in, you will find that the extent of investments, foreign direct investments, that's St. Vincent and the Grenadines as a percentage of our GDP. In the Latin American Caribbean region, we attracted among the highest percentages as the highest extent of investment as a percentage of GDP. So we have done pretty well. Look, our GDP has moved from under $800 million in the year 2000, or at least at the time when we assumed office, to $3.2 billion. Now, in nominal terms, that's 4 times. In nominal terms, that's 4 times. If even you were to discount it and say, well, in real terms, it wouldn't be 4 times, it would be 2 times. It means that in real terms, our GDP would have increased by at least twice, which is very good in a 24-year, 25-year period. Our housing stock and the quality of it has jumped significantly from under 30,000 to 47, 48,000 houses of real good quality, but overwhelmingly. We instituted an education revolution. We have more students at university than any other country in the OECS. We are on target. We were on target for one college or university graduate per household on an average. We have a very good electricity system, water. Of the large number, of the large number of houses, over 98% have electricity and water. Sporting facilities were developed. We built the international airport. We changed the trajectory of the economy. We built a new port, sporting facilities. well, don't talk about what we have done regionally and in the hemisphere and globally in relation to foreign policy. We have mobilized immense resources, of course, because of the number of disasters we have had, natural disasters, and the ambitious nature of our capital program. Our debt is elevated as a percentage of GDP. And it is acknowledged that it's because of the crises, the natural disasters and COVID and all the rest. And also the capital program, which we have carried out to transform the lives of people, that the debt was elevated but manageable. And we were those who use just a cursory debt to GDP analysis without looking at the fact that we don't have a balance of payments problem, which is where the real problem comes about. And we are managing our debt, improving lives, improving livelihoods, and on the path, as I say, to a first world nation, certainly by 2040. That's the trajectory. That's where we are going.
Yet, what polls suggested that a majority of Vincentians supported exploring CBI program. Are you ignoring the will of the people?
Polls say that. I don't think the majority of Vincentians support CBI. But if the majority of Vincentians support CBI, they're mistaken. I'm a leader, and and it is wrong.
Right. So being a leader also possibly mean, based on the polls that quoted that, they listening to the will of the people.
No, I think those polls. My own view, to the extent I don't know of those polls, but to the extent that polls you're referring to, I wouldn't trust them from here to my doorstep, because invariably those will be financed by people who are self-serving. We have done polls which show that the majority of people do not support CBI. But I'm saying to you that even if the majority of persons told an independent pollster that they support CBI, I will still tell the people it is a wrong policy to pursue.
Right. So you also warned that the CBI program could attract corruption, criminal influences, or foreign manipulation.
Well, I dealt with that from the standpoint of saying the security issue.
Right.
I put all that under that particular rubric without going.
Do you believe that the neighboring Caribbean government compromised their integrity by adopting them?
Well, they will have to speak for themselves. I only talk about what I see in relation to in my statement to the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, that it opens the possibility of entrance by vagabonds who compromise us.
Okay.
Now, I know that all my other leaders in the region, in the OECS, are seeking to tighten the security issues, but it is now perhaps too late in the day for that to happen.
Right.
We have seen what the European Union has done with Malta and Cyprus and so on and so forth, and Bulgaria. Let's not blind ourselves to these things, my dear brother.
Yeah, but now that the new government is moving towards implementing the CBI program, do you think that the Vincentian would eventually prove you wrong, that it was wrong economically?
I don't think so. In fact, they're being warned by an entity which they're worshiping at, and they're drinking the Kool-Aid of that particular entity, the International Monetary Fund. Because they're going on an austerity program. That's a program of choice, not of necessity. And the people will suffer as a result of that. But the IMF is telling them that, we don't think you should go to it. If you go to it, you're not going to make a lot of money at this time. And if you go to it, just use it to pay down the debt. No. So the IMF is equivocating on it for them, but coming from a position that they don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they said. No, let me just make it plain. I quote the IMF there in relation to what with the advice to the new government. I don't have to
Right.
rely on to tell me anything because I know more about my country than the IMF.
Right. But
I,
what was the
I
recommendation by the IMF during your time in office? Did the IMF recommend something similar to CBI or CBI?
no. They never came to me with that. Never came. They wouldn't come to me with that, given my opposition to it. They know they'll make a brick wall on that.
Right.
It's just as far as I'm concerned, I cannot countenance that we have a country of 110,000 people, that I got 30, 40, 50,000 people who are citizens by investment, by their passport and by their citizenship. No, the children of those persons, if not those persons who come, because they also get the citizenship, they will try to exercise political influence, much more than their parents would.
Mm-hmm.
And rather than being in error, I'm telling you, I will be a prophetic voice, and after I'm dead, people will say that Ralph was right. They start to say it before. You know
Mm.
that too.
Uh, I'm just living to real life history. Let's jump to the dual citizenship controversy. Right, this is a hot button topic in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Now, you
Yeah.
recently argued that the Prime Minister, Godwin Friday, his dual citizenship status should disqualify him from office. Why raise that argument now after the election?
Well, it's the only time you can is the only time you can contest the issue by way of an election petition. But the
Uh-huh.
matter was raised before the election. Um, we we had always heard, and a few years ago, Friday had indicated in the House that he has proudly, in a crosstalk when I needled him, he said, yes, he has his Canadian, his Vincentian passport in his back pocket and his Canadian one proudly in his front pocket. But even though he said that, then that wasn't evidence that on nomination day that he was holding allegiance, having an allegiance, adherence to a foreign power state, namely Canada. And you have to have the evidence. But we got the evidence. We would have gone earlier had we had the evidence. It's an earlier election. But we got the evidence now that he's in fact a citizen of Canada. And he has accepted that to the court. So too Fitzbramble. We got the evidence. And the law had undergone, in terms of the judicial interpretations, a little movement more favorable in the Denzel Douglas case. But critically, we got the evidence, because our Constitution makes it very plain that if by your own voluntary act that you are a citizen, well, not a citizen of another country, if by your own voluntary act that you have adherence, allegiance to a foreign power or state, you are disqualified from
But
running.
hold on. I'm not that old, right? But I remember you being criticized for that position, and some people may say your song hypocritical because
No,
your own son Camilo
that's
Gonsalves previously faced the same scrutiny over the U.S. citizenship. How do you
no.
respond to that?
Camilo, this is the point. My brother, you have to be careful that you don't fall prey to some NDP propaganda.
Okay.
So, notice what I said. If by your own voluntary act,
Uh-huh.
Camilo did not have by any voluntary act be a citizen of the United States. Camilo was born in America. That's an involuntary act. He couldn't control where his mother put him down. So that's different.
So they
But
did.
hold on.
Uh-huh.
Hold on. But Camilo, being a very principled young man,
Uh-huh.
and who position likewise like his father in this regard, renounced his American citizenship before he entered Parliament as a senator, to be appointed as a senator. And before he ran for elections in the constituency of East St. George in 2015, he renounced his citizenship, my dear brother. So far from being hypocritical, he and I acted in a principled way. I thought you were going to say that during the time of the referendum campaign, I had argued that given that we are a migrant country, that we should give consideration to persons who are dual citizens, who have dual citizenship, and hem it with some other restrictions, but to permit it for them to be qualified to run. But the people voted down. So if the people voted that down, the law wasn't changed, so the constitution remains. And that's what we're functioning under. I've been clear and consistent on these things, you know. And when the referendum, the opposition was saying, I want to change the law to facilitate Camilo, because Camilo would have benefited, but Camilo, under the current constitution, Camilo did not have to renounce because he did not, by his own voluntary act, have any allegiance or adherence to foreign power state. He was born in America.
Right.
And he didn't have to, as an American, when he got a passport, he didn't have to swear allegiance. Because he was born in America. He hadn't done anything on his own voluntary part. That's the point.
But let me ask you this. Is it that you genuinely believe that citizens should be barred from serving in Parliament? Or is it mainly a political strategy? I mean,
No, all I'm doing is this. I'm following the Constitution. That's all. That's what the Constitution says.
Do you honestly believe that citizen or of the Commonwealth?
Separate, my dear brother, I just told you that in the campaign going to the referendum in 2009 on a new constitution, on a reformed constitution, we made this suggestion, and I myself say that we should give favorable consideration persons who have dual citizenship. And you have with some conditions, it will make it completely open sesame, but dual citizenship. And that the people, and they voted it down. So what remains? The existing constitution. So all of us have to abide by the existing constitution. Then when the case was brought against Friday and Bramble, they came to the Parliament for the first meeting after the first substantive meeting after the budget, to see if they can amend the constitution retrospectively from the time of 1979 to favor themselves. Well, naturally, I led a big protest on that, and they had to withdraw the bill.
Right.
Because they were seeking to deal with legislatively what was the central issue to be determined by the courts.
Right.
I don't know if you remember the old Calypso by Spoiler, when a magistrate was trying himself.
No, I don't know.
Maybe you're too young for that. You must look it up.
Okay. I love history. So give me some history on it.
No, there was a magistrate who was charged by a policeman.
Right.
For a traffic offense. And the policeman put the case in the court where the magistrate was sitting. So the magistrate sat as a magistrate on the case and giving evidence to himself.
Right.
And himself has to decide. So it was one of Spoiler's humorous calypsos. So Friday and Bramble were trying to do a spoiler. That's all.
So what exactly does this Constitution of St. Vincent and the Grenadines say about allegiance to a foreign power? And do you believe that the court, not politicians, should settle the issue?
Well, the point about it is this. If the government wants to have a conversation and wants to change the constitution with the 2/3 majority, because that provision can be changed with the 2/3 majority, which they have, that in going forward, we would like to address this question. Let's have a conversation on that. That's not what they're doing. They're seeking to change the constitution retrospectively to suit two people, where there's a live issue in the court,
Right.
arising about their lack of qualification on the date when they were nominated to contest the election.
Right.
So that's a separate issue. If you want to have a conversation on that going forward, we can have that conversation. But that's a different thing, that you ran as having adherence and allegiance and obedience to a foreign power state, to wit Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to change it in a way that Canada is not defined as a foreign power state. That's what the essence of the amendment was about, and to do it retrospectively, retroactively,
right,
from 1999 when the Constitution first came into being. No, it is so self-serving and wrong. They would not get away with it anyhow before the court, because the court would have strike it down.
mm-hmm.
As a lawyer, but they were trying something to see if they could get a little help. Now, it's like you're a Grenadian. When you used to grow bananas, you know the Lacatan banana, sometimes it lean in. You need a chuck. You need a stick to hold it up so that the bunch, the plant doesn't fall down. They was going to the legislature retrospectively for a chuck to chuck up themselves.
Okay.
Not wrong morally, wrong politically, and wrong in law.
Right. So you're saying that the current administration attempted the constitutional amendment relating to dual citizenship, but they of course they face the backlash. Okay. Yeah. Right. Okay. I have a call on the line. Let's see if we could jump on and call that just came in on the WhatsApp. Call, are you calling for the program? Okay. I guess not. All right, guys. If you want to call in. Let's see if this call is back on. Caller, are you calling for the program?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, are you calling for the program? Hello? Okay,
Yeah,
I guess not. All right. So I wanna move a little bit on to another topic, guys. We're moving fast and furious here because, of course, the former prime minister has a lot to do. You only give us an hour or so. Let's see if we could get it all in this time, and just probably about 10 minutes more to spare. Your critics accuse you of your government of becoming centralized around your personality and leadership. Did the ULP become overly dependent on Ralph Gonsalves?
No. You see, look, I run a collegiate ship. The point is, it is well known that I have a strong personality. I have a lot of political experience. This year is 58 years that I'm a political activist. I have thought through a lot of issues. I face the media in the way in which I'm facing you. You're asking me very tough questions, and I'm answering in a very forthright and I believe coherent manner. And naturally, if you're a strong, forceful leader, it would create the impression in some minds that Ralph is running the show, and nobody else has anything to say. But that's not true at all. I ran, if you in my cabinet, many times I advanced certain positions, and the rest of the cabinet or a majority of the cabinet would feel differently, and I will naturally I'll have to defer to them. Sometimes I say, well, let's have a second thinking about it on both sides. But my colleagues would tell you that I ran a collegiate ship. But what happens is this: there's this view, for instance, because Friday is a weak fella, they would say, well, Friday would be collegiate. But that's not the case. They want to make weakness to be a virtue. What is happening? The center is not holding and things are falling apart because there's weakness. You have to have a strong core at the center. Otherwise,
Right.
the thing fall apart.
Yeah. But what does that say about if he's a weak fella and his campaign is weak or was weak, but he was able to win 14-1 in the last general election?
Yeah, well, I think I answered with two sets of things. One,
Yes.
the normal wear and tear in the government being a long time, and I tell you, they were extremely well financed.
Well, that's probably a strength, not a sign of weakness, but a sign of strength.
No.
Guys.
What it meant, imperialism wanted to get rid of Ralph. Certain people Chinese companies who wanted to get involved in selling passports, and they also would want to do the bidding of the Chinese state. I'm not saying the Chinese state was involved, but they put a lot of money because they want also to get rid of Taiwan, more relations with Taiwan. And money helps in a lot of situations in the politics, in elections. I mean, I've been in many elections, more elections in this country than anybody else, and perhaps more elections than anybody in the Eastern in the OECS. And I know what that is about. So I think that certainly also assisted. I mean, my characterization of Friday in the campaign, that he was weak, lacking in creativity, and lazy. And those three sets of things are being borne out, or have been borne out in the 5.5 months since they've been in office. He has been not creative, he has been lazy, and he has been weak.
Right.
And that's why things are falling apart.
Right. But you were in government, you had the advantage. So if money and all of these things, you would have been in a better position because you are the government. You run the government.
And I mean, there is to some extent an advantage with incumbency where you have programs and so on you can run. But being in government doesn't mean that you have more money because you can't put your hand on government money.
But you would have the influence. You would have the influence.
But
the influence.
Raise money. You have to raise money separately.
Right.
You have to raise money separately. And money is not easy to raise in an election campaign if you're being honest and straightforward.
Right. But you were successfully able to do it.
I could write a book on that.
Yeah. Yes. Now, we spoke about did we speak about the disconnect? Right. Oh, yes. We have to speak about the youth. The young people increasingly felt disconnected from the administration. Why do you think, where did you lose the young people?
Well, I don't know where persons get that from. It has to deal with particular types of young people, because I believe that those young persons who took advantage of the education revolution, that the majority of them would have voted for the Unity Labour Party. I felt the areas where we lost support was in the civil service, the teaching service, and also with those young persons who didn't take advantage of the opportunities which were available. And there are some persons didn't take advantage of the opportunities either because of objective circumstances involving them, and sometimes by their own choice.
You know, I saw that last campaign, right? And I sat back and I watched it, and I remember how you sung it, how you came across. You said, "Lift us up," and to a lot of people, it looked like weakness. It looked as if they were already writing on the wall, things that you already saw happening.
No, I mean, I saw and I spoke with honesty about it. There were persons, look, there's some, when I talk about normal wear and tear, there are a lot of things I could put under it. Human beings have satisfactions and dissatisfactions. And you always have to weigh your satisfactions and dissatisfactions. And your satisfactions are really blessings. And a lot of people go to church every single Saturday and Sunday, or Sunday, depending on the day they keep the Sabbath. And they sing this song, count your blessings, name them one by one. But they don't really count their blessings properly. They look at what maybe their dissatisfactions. And they either, some of those either didn't go and vote or voted for the other side because they had this or that dissatisfaction. Now, you're already seeing that, quote unquote, there's buyer's remorse, that they say, Lord, what kind of mistake we make? Because things gone downhill, things dead, things falling apart. But I'd spoken to them honestly about all of that.
Right. You know, that's the second time you mentioned about things falling apart, right? I don't live in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I'm not aware of all of the political or social or economical issues that are affecting St. Vincent and the Grenadines. What are some of the things that you think that are falling apart right now since you are not Prime Minister?
Well, first of all, the social safety net, which had been well developed, that social safety net has crumbled.
In 5 months, the social safety net crumbled.
Yes.
So were they a strong infrastructure for the safety net?
When people go to the to public servants, for help with this, that, or the other, they're met usually with, well, Santa Claus is no longer in power, meaning me. That I'm Santa Claus now. I'm very free and easy with the social safety net. And a lot of people took that for granted. They think that it was just, but they considered it permanent. But now we have seen reversals.
But it's the same civil servants. It's the same civil servant that work there. It's the same set of people, same employees. Nothing changed.
But there are different policies. The civil servants are carrying out the policies. You don't have the money, so you can't do these things as a matter of choice. They have also dismantling the social safety net. Then when you come, and there's a lot of firings of people at the lower end of the spectrum in the public service. Naturally, they can't fire those persons who have security of tenure. They can bully them, they can victimize them, they can move them here and there, which is what is happening. But they're firing a number of people who don't have security of tenure for political reasons. That's happening. People who are allocated lands by the state, and people go to pay money. They say they're not taking any money. They're reviewing to see how you got this land. Sandals. I go from those. I could give them multiple things, but I go from that end now to something larger. We had signed an agreement with Sandals for beaches, a $500 million investment for 500 rooms, beaches hotel, which would have employed 2,000 people, and brought immense gain to the country, as Sandals itself is doing. The 350 room hotel, which they have, they began with 303, but it's expanding now to 350 during our time. And Sandals had a team on the ground dealing with that. The team is no longer there, and Sandals just put out a schedule for the Caribbean. We were number 2 after Turks and Caicos. Turks and Caicos now finished. We were next in line. Now it's Bahamas next in line, then Barbados, then Jamaica, and then St. Vincent. The earliest for us is 2030. And there is no investment of any significant kind which has been brought forward by this government in the 5 months 5.5 months thus far. And you go to the streets of Kingston, the place on a Friday, for instance, when you expect it to be busy, the thing is like a ghost town. Streets are empty, and people are balling of all classes. And then they decide that they're going to go on an austerity program, and they have an IMF staff member come in, and the Prime Minister sits down at a press conference, have the IMF man talking, a staff member, not any high up. And essentially the Prime Minister is the press secretary to this guy, and hear the guy talking. I mean, I was completely ashamed to see that is the extent to which our country has gone. This kind of obeisance. The way in which they're also scaling back with the Cuban doctors. They said that they're going to have an attrition with them as district medical officer doctors. So there's a multiplicity of things like these, which add a totality towards the center not holding. I can go into more details, but I know you have a regional audience, and I want to summarize those. If it was a strictly Vincentian audience, I would have gone into more details. But I'm giving you a broader sweep with examples, because I don't want to bore your regional listenership.
No, they're very in tune. They're very, very, very in tune. The listeners from all over.
A lot of parochial matters.
Right. So looking back at your tenure as Prime Minister, what do you think is one of the single biggest mistake you believe that your administration made during the 24 years?
You'll have to tell me, and then I will have to answer you.
How about the other way around?
No, because I told you just now. For instance, there are persons who would say that we ought not to have had the requirement for frontline workers, but we had to save lives and livelihoods, and I think that decision was the correct decision. There are persons who would have been affected negatively and think that it was not a correct decision, and most of them, I think, probably all of them, and their families probably didn't vote for us, and they might have been other.
Do you consider that was one of the bigger mistakes?
No, more people would have died. You think I take an oath to make people die? No, I don't do that.
Right.
If I have to lose office because I save lives and livelihoods, well, so be it. But you know what happens sometimes? The Lord works in mysterious ways, his wonders to perform. The branches may be trimmed, but he hasn't affected the root, and it is the root which rejuvenates the branches.
Right. That kind of sound like an endorsement, because if the roots was buried deep into the soil, then it wouldn't shake up and mash up and fall down in a short time.
No, branches could be trimmed, but the roots not affected.
Okay.
It's not a complete analysis, because analysis by analogy is not perfect, but I was just trying to illustrate the point that the roots of labor remain very strong and deep.
From that context.
And it's we got 44% of the vote, and I'm sure that if a poll was to be done now, we'll see that we have more than 44% of the electorate right now.
Interesting. Do you believe that history would remember you after it's all said and done? Do you think history would remember you as the Caribbean greatest leader, or the leader who stayed a little too long in office and lost touch with the people?
I haven't lost touch with people. But any judgment of history would be made by history. I am not history. So that I am. I mean, I've just finished a book called Caribbean Political Leadership, 480 pages. And it has three aspects to it. One, an analysis of its autobiographical part, the first part. The second part is a discussion of all the leaders in CARICOM with whom I've worked. And the third part is for a number of leaders who are dead, about 9 or so, that I did sketches, analyses of them, because I want the public, and particularly young people, to have a sense of somebody like myself. What did I think about these matters? Look, my brother, when we have problems, I write about them and put them there. I mean, in 2023, I wrote a book called A Time of Despair: Beyond COVID, Volcanic Eruption, Hurricane Elsa, and Global Turmoil, Fresh Hope for St. Vincent and Grenadines, where I laid out philosophically and programmatically and practically and politically the path where we have to tread. A book of over 300 and something pages. And I lay it out and I let people make the judgments. I'm not writing, I'm not working towards what history assesses me. I'm doing my work. This is why when people, contrary to what some people think, they want to have vainglory. I'm not in that. There was once the deputy prime minister under me got up in parliament to move a motion. There was an attempt to ambush me to see if they could get the international airport at Argyle named after me. I told them that I wouldn't permit it. I don't want anything to be named after me whilst I'm alive. When I'm dead, it doesn't matter me, because I wouldn't know. There are many other things which people try to get me to accept in personal terms, and I've never been interested in that. Never. Whatever history does, and I'm sure there'll be different perspectives on history. There's not one history, versions of that history. But what I believe is that during my time in politics, that I have made a difference for the better. I made a difference to lives for the better, which is important. There's a chap who's now in his 40s. He has a first degree and a master's degree. He told me a story. I didn't know about it. In a village in my constituency, when I had a small political party called the Movement for National Unity, and I lost. And the next day, I had an Isuzu Trooper vehicle, and I was going around and thanking people for their participation and those who voted for me. And he and 4 or 5 other boys had been in a river bathing in their jockey shorts. They would have been little boys, 5, 6, 7 years old. And there was a wise old man in the village who said to me, and in their presence, they overheard, and he said, "Comrade, why you don't give up on this thing? You give it a good shot. The people didn't vote you. Just concentrate on your profession and your family now." That was the old man's advice. Young man, who is now this grown man, I didn't remember it. He told me. He said, "You said to him, so if I give up, who would look after these boys? Who will care for them? Who will ensure they get an education and they get quality jobs? If I give." And he's one of my strong supporters. And he remembers that story. He has told me it over and over again. And it has just come to my head as you asked me the question. The answer is that young boy's answer. He's now a grown man in his 40s. He's a child of the education revolution, which I launched. Went through the policies of my government. So I when remember this, you know. If you read in Thucydides, the history of the Peloponnesian Wars, and Thucydides' recounting of a funeral oration by Pericles. And Pericles makes the point, according to Thucydides, that when there is contestation, um, a lot of people don't say, a lot of your critics don't say good things about you when there's contestation. But when the contestation ceases, when you die, a different version arises even from those who are critical of you now. So let's wait now.
Mm.
And I would make the judgment as to what history will think of me. All I do know as a fact, that as a consequence of my political work, I have made lives better for people in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Would you consider retiring completely from frontline politics, or do you still believe that the country needs your leadership?
Well, that is not a question for my own determination. The people of North Central Windward, which I represent, who I represent, and the party, and we have a democratic organization, will determine when, how long I stay active in electoral politics. But one thing I can tell you, that whether or not I'm in electoral politics, I'm not going to fade away.
Mm-hmm.
I will always be active, and I'll always write, and I'll always speak out, if even I'm not involved in electoral politics.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sorry, I'm not going to give you a scoop on that one to tell you whether I'm going to leave, when I'm going to leave. That's a matter which, you know, I don't control all those forces. You remember the conversation we started when we began, that we are all prisoners of certain forces, and men and women make history only to the extent that the circumstances of history permit us so to make. So that, and I don't control all the circumstances.
Mm-hmm. But do you
Not,
think, or believe, so go ahead, finish your thought. Sorry.
no, I said none of us.
Right.
Donald Trump thinks he controls the circumstances. That's an illusion.
Yeah.
That's why he will be disillusioned, because he has illusions on that subject.
Right. So some lightning rounds here. And do you think that the ULP can survive politically after this crushing defeat without you at the head?
Undoubtedly. And you know, have you seen recently on Tuesday evening our National Council? You saw the reports on it. I'm sure you did.
I didn't go through it entirely.
Yeah, but you saw the huge turnout of our National Council.
Yes.
Yes. Well, that will the Labour Party in St. Vincent and Grenadines, the Unity Labour Party, is a natural party of governance. It is the natural party of governance, and it's only a matter of time that it returns to its natural role.
Right. But do you have someone that would emerge at the helm of governance?
There are many persons in our party
Uh-huh.
who can lead and do well as leaders, and the party will at the appropriate time make that determination.
Like some people said that naturally, probably your son Camilo would have emerged as at the helm. Rumor had it that he don't even want to be there.
Well, I don't know. It's an amazing thing about rumors. Camilo lost his seat on November the 20 in November 2025.
Mm-hmm.
He's a practicing lawyer. He's trying to put his life together. He has two beautiful children, very bright children. He's married. His wife is an excellent lawyer too, and he's putting things together. And I don't know about rumors. You know, I know he has appeared on a couple of radio programs. The party has a radio station. I appear, of course, twice a week for 3 hours at a time, sometimes 4 hours, 2 days a week. And it's amazing how people could know what Camilo is thinking. Camilo has certainly discussed his
But
own.
it was said that a particular individual in the now ruling party heard that firsthand, and that was something I remember hearing directly from that person
Yeah.
who
But
explained.
almost with certainty, that person in that ruling party who said that is a liar. I
Okay,
could tell
okay.
you.
A lot
So
of a lot of your former ministers, they was reluctant. They was reluctant to even take up senator.
yeah, well, they even had some fellas lying about Christ much less lying to normal people, lying about normal people. So I don't really worry about that.
Right,
But
right,
but one thing for sure is that Camilo is a man of immense ability, immense,
right,
no question. And he was a fantastic ambassador at the United Nations. He was an excellent Minister of Finance and Economic Development, and he was a very good constituency representative. Still, he lost,
right.
but things happen.
Naturally, as I said, people would think that he would stay in politics, probably become a senator, but none of that came through. He did not. Did not emerge
Well,
to
that,
become a
that's
senator.
that's that's not his final decision. That's mine. As leader of the opposition, I'm the
Okay,
man. I'm the person clothed with the constitutional responsibility to
right,
send the name of two senators to the Governor General to be appointed.
right,
And I would have discussed with every single person in the leadership of the party, and I would have made the final determination as to the two persons
right,
based on private and collective discussions that I had with everybody. But it's not. I wouldn't tell you what those private discussions were either, or even those private individually or private collectively.
right. But your son was just not one of those names.
Well, he was not one of the two who I sent to the Governor General. I
Right,
sent two excellent persons, Carlos James and Kisel Peters. They were excellent ministers, and they're sharp minds, good people, and they're doing a very good job as senators.
right. Okay. I want to touch on this again. This lightning round because I know we're running short on time. Quickly about regional and international affairs. We have the U.S. now. They indicted the former president of Cuba. Cuba right now is being crushed not only with sanctions. The light just went off, but also with possible invasion. Okay, so the light just went off there.
Maybe we have to look at the
Yeah.
clock.
While we sort out the light situation there, guys, we giving you opportunity to call. If you want to call, you could call in at any time. The number that you could call is 718-701-5720. The number is on the screen. Again, 718-701-5720. Speaking here live with the former Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, on a range of issues, topical issues, but you too could be a part of the conversation if you want to call in directly, or if you want to call on the WhatsApp, you could do so as well. Either one, WhatsApp or via the phone line. When we come back, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we take your calls. Don't move.
Welcome to the island's boldest ATV experience. The only tour daring enough to bring you this level of excitement, freedom, and adrenaline. Feel the power. Conquer rugged trails. Experience breathtaking views. Ride beyond the ordinary. Feel the power. This is not just a tour. This is the power of Ride ATV. Get ready for fun. Get ready for excitement. Get ready to ride. Book now at ride.gd or call 473-422-1011. Ride ATV. Adventure starts here.
Of course, we're back here with Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, giving us some extra time here to chat with us. Yeah. So, Dr. Gonsalves, I was speaking about the regional affairs, what's happening in Cuba. Not only the crushing sanctions, well, the Cuban, they've been going through that for many, many years, but now we're seeing they're actually being suffocated because they don't have any oil, nothing coming their way. A lot of electricity supply is very sporadic on the island, and then we have the U.S. indicting the former president Nicolas Maduro. Not Maduro. My memory just hold on. Sorry, hold on. I know you're speaking. Yes, sorry. Yes, I know you're trying to help me. Former president
Raul Castro.
Raul Castro. Yes. What's your thoughts on these regional affairs, the U.S. and Cuba?
Well, let's separate two issues. First of all, prior to the intensification of the embargo on Cuba, the United States of America has been acting contrary to international law by having this embargo, this economic blockade against Cuba. And it has been so voted at the United Nations General Assembly repeatedly. The only two countries which vote against this resolution, the United States and Israel, and I think sometimes, occasionally, one very small country in the Pacific, which the United States has a great deal of influence over. And the United States is acting illegally, contrary to international law. And given the impact of what is taking place, some may say even criminally. And we are friends with the United States of America. And we want to maintain excellent relations with the United States of America, but what they're doing there is wrong, plain wrong in international law. And now the ramping up of it is now criminal, because what they want to do is to starve a nation into submission. I mean, when history writes this, you talk about history, when history writes about this, people would be amazed that they could get away with it, but they get away with it because they're the most powerful country in the hemisphere, and certainly on the currency on the earth. So that's one aspect. The second thing is that I see the indictment is, some may say it's spurious, and that the real purpose of it is to put further pressure on the Cuban government in discussions and negotiations which the Cuban government and the Americans are having about seeing how you can normalize. I mean, it's amazing that we have gone from where we were with Obama and Raul Castro to this absurd situation, this dystopian situation. So my mind is I'm speaking very frankly and clearly upon this. And it may well be that this matter, because of the strength of the Cuban lobby in South Florida, that they're proceeding in this way, and Rubio is hoping to be the next presidential candidate, and he'd like to lock Florida completely. But my perspective on foreign policy is not based on presidential politics of South Florida. I have to take a wider canvas and something relating to our Caribbean. Cuba is a sister Caribbean country. We are part of the Caribbean civilization. We have had excellent relations. And what the American government, the current American government there is doing, is wrong, contrary to international law, and even criminal. Now, as you know, it is famously said in the United States of America that you can indict a ham sandwich.
Yes.
And you can indict a ham sandwich. I suspect the ham sandwich will have to prove that it is a ham sandwich and not a chicken sandwich.
Right, but that just the indictment or open up the possibility of what happened in Venezuela, because that was a step, right? Accusing him of murder gave them now, it preempts what may happen next.
I believe that Cuba is different from Venezuela. I think you'll find a greater resistance taking place in Cuba than happened when Nicolas Maduro was kidnapped.
Okay. And what says you about the situation with the doctors coming in from Cuba now, and the pressure that's been placed on the small islands to not even engage some of those those
Well,
doctors?
when I was in government, I personally prepared the document after calling all the public servants together and getting all the information. And it was clear that certainly the program between St. Vincent and Grenadines and Cuba didn't have anything to do with human trafficking. And the Americans, in fact, and I wrote a 2-page letter with this 10-page as an appendix to Marco Rubio. And the Americans told me through the embassy in Barbados that they considered in the State Department that my response was the gold standard of responses to this matter. I was clear in principle and I presented the facts. So that is how I dealt with that, and that is where things were up to the time when the government's changed. The current government has a tendency to, well, it's in its nature to be obedient to imperialism and to compromise without any reason or merit for sovereignty and independence.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm not sure of your position on what happened, what transpired in Venezuela. On the record, what was your take on that? Nicolas Maduro being taken out.
Well, it is from a distance. You never know, but from a distance, there were clearly weaknesses in the security apparatus around Nicolas Maduro, and very very swiftly, what Trump decided is that what he will have is not regime change, but have an arrangement where he can work with a successor from the same government, in this case Delcy Rodriguez, to see if he could avoid blood flowing in Venezuela on the streets of Caracas, and to see if he can keep China from getting the oil and rare minerals and gold in Venezuela, and for the United States of America to see if they can get a significant portion of those resources.
Mm-hmm.
That's my take on it.
Yeah, yeah.
But don't for one believe that Delcy Rodriguez is a pushover. Delcy is a nationalist. She's anti-imperialist. And it is my view that she would operate on the basis that if she has to take one step backward, she'll take it in order to make two forward.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
She has a rich history of anti-imperialist and nationalist struggle. And my assessment, knowing her, that she's not going to roll over and play dead in the face of imperialism. So that's an interesting bundle of contradictions playing themselves out there in Caracas. Where it would end up, I'm not sure.
Right. Shall wait and see. Dr. Gonsalves, thank you so much for chatting with us here. This last part of the program is what we call the lightning round, lightning fast round. I know you don't have much time. This is only going to take a 2 minutes. I'm going to call a name, a particular name, a leader in the region. You just tell me the first thing that comes to mind. All right? First thing that comes to mind. You ready?
Sure.
All right. Honorable Deacon Mitchell.
Brilliant young man, creative.
Okay. Dr. Keith Mitchell.
Made a sterling contribution but slowed very much in the latter part of his government.
Kamala Prasad Bissessa.
Kamala Mark 1. I was Kamala Mark 1. She and I work very well.
Uh-huh.
Kamala Mark 2 is something I don't recognize.
Oh, okay. Okay. Let me see who Mia Motley. Last one.
Oh, a titan.
Ah.
A fierce warrior. An outstanding leader. Perhaps the most outstanding leader of her generation. Of course, they were older than her. Dickon is younger than her. You know, and people like Mia, who is now 60. Often own generation. But Mia is outstanding.
Right,
I have a
right.
lot of
Godwin
time.
Friday. Last but not least, Godwin Friday.
Godwin Friday is weak, indecisive, not creative, and lazy.
Okay. Okay. Dr. Gonsalves, thank you so much. Listen, I had to show you this. I don't know if you ever saw this, because I love Vinci politics, right? I love Vinci politics.
You see who is over me here?
Ah.
You recognize this man?
Yes, sir.
He is arguably, Marcus Mosiah Garvey is arguably the greatest leader in the English-speaking Caribbean in the 20th century, arguably. And he never held office.
I hear that. Listen, so I said, I love Vinci politics, right? And oftentimes, I myself parody you. I don't know if you saw it. You ever saw it? I parody you all the time, right? Take a look at this. Tell me how I did. Tell me how I did, right? This is my parody. Look at this. Let's look at this.
Something wrong with you, know.
But no, just a minute.
Something really wrong with you.
May I rise?
In the most
Why
gentle
don't you
way.
shut up and stop insulting people?
Mouth too. Shut up.
Shut up and stop insulting
Ralph,
people.
shut up.
Shut
Up, Ralph.
Honorable members.
You're just being ignorant and
I
stupid.
am on my
Ralph,
feet.
nobody can be more stupid than you.
Honorable members.
Talk to him.
Honorable members, please take your seats.
You're having fun. You're having fun.
Well, all it does have all the fun.
You're having fun. The gentleman with whom I had that war of words in Parliament, he's a strange and mercurial fellow. He's now the Minister of National Security.
No, he was on the program a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I tell you, I'm a fan of Vinci politics. You guys really excited in Parliament, I tell you that. Thank you, Dr. Gonsalves. I appreciate chatting with you.
God bless you, my brethren, and all the best to your viewers, listeners. Love you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Yeah. Yeah, that was Dr. Gonsalves. Listen, I tell you guys, I'm a fan of Vinci politics. I'm always dibbling and dabbling, right? Take a look at this one. Take a look at this one, guys.
If my honorable friend doesn't want to Madam Speaker, I always accept the position of the Book of Luke. Everyone is my neighbor.
Honorable members. Honorable member.
Madam Speaker,
Just a moment, Honorable Prime Minister. Honorable Member for West Kingstown, I caution you and remind you to be very careful and with the parliamentary language.
Thank you very much, Madam
Yes.
Speaker. Madam Speaker, it is not the first time I've said to the Honourable Prime Minister.
Yes.
He is not my friend.
Very well.
And I do not like for him to insist that I am his friend.
Okay.
He is not.
Very well, Honourable Member. Honourable Prime Minister.
Madam Speaker, he doesn't call me his friend. I said my honorable friend.
Yes, very well.
And my honorable friend. And I consider him a neighbor, a human being, and therefore a friend.
What friend destroys a man's life?
Okay. Honourable members.
Don't call me a friend.
Honourable.
I don't believe in democracy. What? I tell you as I say. You don't believe in democracy? Hypocrisy. That's what you all are about.
Madam,
Just a moment. Honourable Prime Minister, if we can get back to...
Hi, I want $10 on Playway, $20 backup on Pick 3, and cash for each, please.
Okay, are you adding multi-X to your bet?
Yes, multi-X, all of them.
Smart! Best value bet. Backup and multi-X? You cannot go wrong.
Don't matter the bet, multi-X all of the daily games.
With multi-X added, your winnings can be multiplied 3 times, 5 times, even 7 times. So make it a rule. Add multi-X to all your Playway, daily pick 3, and daily cash for bets every day and for every drop, and watch your money grow. Available at stores and online.
You heard it here. Multiply your winnings daily. Must be 18 or older to play. NLA, making your dreams come true.
Yeah, da 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 da. What boy? Yeah, what boy? What boy? The sun is hot, the breeze is slow. I need a ride. Where do I go? Ride go. Yeah, that's the name. Island roads will never feel the same. Tap the app, just one click. Hopping fast, it's real quick. Ride go, where do you wanna go? To the beach, to the street, let the island flow. Ride go, the good vibe show, fastest growing ride, everybody know. Ride go, where do you wanna go? To the beach, to the street, let the island flow. Ride go, let the good vibe show, fastest growing ride, everybody know.
Where do you want to go?
Yeah. Ridealong live. Guys, let me tell you quickly. I'd like to thank and be up all of our sponsors and who support this platform, guys. Remember, this platform, this regional platform, takes everything and bring it to you. So whether you're from St. Vincent, Grenada, it doesn't matter. And we're happy to have this conversation with the former Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And sometime next week, you'll see the current Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We're going to have a conversation as well. Straight to the region, guys. All right, so we thank all the leaders taking the time to chat with us. I know it's busy, but leaders in opposition, hear what's going on in their neck of the woods. In fact, on Ridealong Live, we say, listen, everyone have a story to tell. So sometime next week, we're going to try to have the current Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Godwin Friday, on the platform. Let's talk. All right? Absolutely. So I was saying, let's big up and thank the sponsors, the folks who put their money where their mouth is. Yes. I was telling you about... where's the flyer? Oh, RideGo. Yeah, so RideGo, guys, it's a taxi app, right? So if you're in Grenada at any point in time and you need to get a taxi, some people say it's kind of like Uber, but better, all right? Better. So you download this app into your phone. It's called RideGo. Just that logo right there, RideGo. And whenever you need a taxi or you come to the airport and you need a pickup, just tap the app. You get a taxi, over 150 taxi drivers all over Grenada, and they'll come pick you up from anywhere. So yeah, try it, guys. Ride Go. And right now we have what is called, we have members days, member days. So from now until the 24th of May, some member days. So we have discounts. In fact, someone is gonna win. So I think today someone won $500 worth of groceries. You win free trips, cash, you name it. Member days at Ride Go. So download the app, request a trip, and you too may win thousands of prizes. Okay? So check it out, guys. Let me show you what we have in store for your ride days. Someone won $500 worth of groceries today, guys. $500 worth of groceries. And that could have been you for Ride Days, Member Days. And it's from now until the 24th. So you'll win 15% trip from now until the 24th. If you're going anywhere, you just look for the promo code right there. You get 15% on all your trips. Cash giveaways, free groceries, and of course, tours and more. So Ride Days, Ride Member Days is on right now from the 21st to the 24th. Download the app in the App Store, Ride Go. Even if you don't live in Grenada, if you don't live in Grenada, you live elsewhere, you still need Ride Go. You could call, I'm sure everybody in St. Vincent, everybody in the United States, everybody in Canada, England, have a family member or friend in Grenada. You could call a taxi for them from any part of the world, and they'll pick them up from the house. They'll go and pick them up at the house. So download Ride Go from the App Store. Ride Go. Where do you want to go?
There's a new way to move in Grenada. Ride Go. Ride Go is here. Ride Go. Where do you want to go?
Yeah. Absolutely. Also, guys, this is not the current flyer because this one says April 16th to the 26th. But the new flyer will say November 5th to the 15th. We're going back to Africa, Ghana, right? We're going back to Ghana. It's Touch Africa Ghana excursion. For more information on the Ghana trip, it's from November 5th to the 15th. Write this number down, 347-942-4641. 347-942-4641. We're going to Africa, November 5th to the 15th. Touch Africa. It's the amazing experience, guys. You don't want to miss out on that. Touch Africa, again, the number is 347-942-4641. We're going to Ghana. Absolutely. Also, you love ATV, you love the vibe. The only place you could get ATV experience in Grenada right now is Ride ATV, all right? So, you could go ahead and book your next ATV excursion with us. Ride.gd, RYDE.gd. Yeah! I gotta thank everyone for locking it down, for watching, for supporting the folks in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and everyone around the world. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, and thank you. Tomorrow, Friday. Oh, guys, we're going to be back with the Ride Trivia. That's a trivia game that we normally play. So Ride Trivia is coming back, all right? Ride Trivia will be back. Okay? On behalf of all of our production team here and crew at Ridealong Live, video production team, our Ride team, our Touch Africa team, Touch Africa team, Julie, Salatham, who's probably watching us right now. Good night to you. Everyone here, Ridealong Live, we say good night. Catch you guys again tomorrow.